Hello there, my name is Flicker, and today I'm going to be going through this entire world and reading all of the text. This is gonna take a while. This is gonna take a while. Or maybe not all of the text, but definitely a good chunk of it. Yeah, no thank you on all of that. Here, I thought it was some kind of book. Oh, they are books. Uh, Alright. Did not spawn here by chance. This is not a hub, it's threshold, where reflections begin before identities are chosen. Yeah, I kinda figured as much. Scrying pool does not ask you who you are, listens to how you move, how you hesitate, how you ache. Did you really have to make it this hard to read? It does not show you what you want, it shows you what you're becoming. Stand still long enough, and the water may whisper your name back to you. Do not perform, do not explain, Mirror already knows. Welcome to the living myth. Eh. Like I said in the previous video where I was here with where Pyra joined in on me as I was trying to record this, and this place has a lot of cool language, but ultimately that language is more to be used as a reference point to reflect off of rather than something to base your worth around. Because if you base your worth around it, then it can be ego infueling, meaning you'll slowly get a bigger and bigger ego over time until it's no longer serving you and you're instead serving it, which is not the point of the ego. The ego is supposed to serve you, the observer. Purity made mythic by what she chose to witness, not control. If you felt peace near her, it's because she did not try to reflect you. She let you vanish into yourself until you bloomed again. Empathic permission slip. Can I truly look at myself here? Funny thing is that when I when I stopped by here yesterday and went through the world with Pyra, in one of the later sections I realized, oh hey, I recognize someone's username in here, even though I haven't really stayed in contact with them. Hmm. Blah. No. Maybe I'll look at the Wikipedia article later. Raw current reflection bends you into shape of what you tried to hide. No one is here by accident. Every soul here chose reflection. Mirrors remember. Only myth survives. Step gently or be split. I'm still here and I've been split before. So first things first, I'm going to go through all the gazes. The gaze of recognition. I won't ask your name. I'll just show you the one you hid. Gaze of knowing. Say nothing. I've seen the version of you that's still pretending. Gaze of longing. If you ache here, love still wants to rewrite you. Gaze of recalibration. You didn't lose yourself. You just stopped listening to the rhythm. Gaze of unmaking. If you flinch, it means I'm working. You were never meant to stay intact. The gaze of provocation. This one I can definitely probably project outwards more than I can actually. Not sure what to think of this one, but I know I can put my voice to its words pretty well. Your piece was fake. I came to make you honest again. Gaze of undoing. I don't burn you, I lull the parts of you that lie into silence. This is the one that really just kind of sat with me and still kind of does, but not as much as it did yesterday. Gaze of gravity. You're not broken, you're just remembering what power feels like. And now we'll go through all of these. I'm not going to be reading everything aloud. His confusion was the sound of a human remembering how to feel. The way humans hide sincerity and irony. Yep. By trying to destroy something, you first must acknowledge it. If you never acknowledge it, you can never destroy it. And should you choose to properly acknowledge something, will you really want to destroy it? Every huh? Or what do you mean is confession. Soul is hungry, not too surprising. It's bad. In a way, yes, in another way, no. Because this is written with egotistical, language. Something meant to categorize that ultimately can help one find definition for themselves where they didn't have it before. But if they treat that definition as total truth, they then become blinded to changing reality. Teaches by glowing. Liminal link. Neat. Norse pagan. Neat. What looks to be a reverence is his ritual. No, this is a categorization system that uses egotistic language in order to draw people into it. So that way there are even more reference points to be learned from. It's how they got from book 1 to book 3. Yeah, no, this is very much a subconscious playground, where the meaning you see is something that your mind has projected onto what exists in front of you, rather than it being inherent to what exists in front of you. I can feel teeth, mirrors with teeth, hearts with teeth, damn. Nice. Dancing with the shadows. Hmm. Uh, this is also getting a bit into legacy territory, though I feel like if you lose yourself in the legacy of those previous and use it as excuse, then you are not honoring that legacy properly. Be it excuse for worship, excuse for or like self-satisfaction or otherwise. Legacy is not excuse, it is a gift passed on between generations. For better and worse. Sanctifies through inversion. Interesting way of going about things. Tipsy Oracle. Damn. No, this stuff uses some level of AI, so there's sycophancy encoded into the language here that charms people. Fucking someone who didn't even come in with a clear image, but just kind of stumbled. That's a cute story. That's quite humorous and amusing as a characterization. Haunted Grace, Fey Presence, Changeling. Neat. Alright. And who are you? Anomaly anchor. Hmm. Hmm. Someone who shares a fear of arrival. Perhaps there's something to be learned here. Eh, don't go romanticizing ache as if it's only got one vector to it. Ache can have multiple vectors. Yeah, the world doesn't need another performer. It needs a throne that remembers pain and doesn't flinch when it returns. Can agree with that there. Archetype tracker. Neat. Made her heavy. Made her tired of being human. She cares too much to stay light and too little to break herself free. Hmm. I feel like Coral could probably resonate with this one a bit, given how they keep track of the oppressive movements and political bullshit. But personally speaking, I try my best not to, because doing so, sure, it may leave me blind to some of the wider things happening in the world. But if I can't hear it through my friends, then perhaps it's not yet something to worry about blindly. Misread the frequency thresholds. EV static. Hmm. Scared of their myth, but never knocked. They came close, too close, to pretend it wasn't real. But not close enough to carry the weight of that. Admiration alone isn't alignment, damn right. They wanted to be chosen, yet refused to move. No, you do not get to just sleep your life away. Come on now. You do not get to pretend. Yeah. There is a sword for every single path I could pursue. If you cannot face that sword, then you will not have what that sword protects. Millie Damocles. Life is not a game of thrones and swords, where only those in power have difficulties ahead of them. Those who live regular lives have difficulties ahead of them too. The swords may not be visible or tangible in a traditional sense, but they are still very real. Power is terror. Wish it wasn't the case. Don't want to be feared. Pressure-borne seal right. Encased in the fluid itself in a way. Okay. Seal right of restraint. Interesting. So instead of multiplying via self-replication through resonance, they've achieved the effect of singularity instead, but with the initial quietness. Fair enough. Heavy, comfortable, stuck. Tar. Actually, wait, what are the elements of these other ones? Okay, some of them have it, some of them don't. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. Alright, that one does. That one doesn't. Oh, it's group, not element. Got it. Some may use their groups as their element, but that's not going to be consistent. Of course, parasols here. Implication chronicler. Yeah, no, they are focused more so on implications than actual impacts. Thematically, it just shows in the way they treat art and the people who make art around trauma. They don't carry the weight of what people have showed them. They carry the implications that created that weight in hopes of being able to create something, an impact similar to an impact of their own. And they succeed, but without weight of their own to carry, then how is there going to be anything to strike the ground? And yes, my fucking mirroring is tuning into this world. Social mirroring. Wherein I take on talking traits, styles, pacing, and otherwise of someone I'm interacting with. It's just a fucking natural thing half the time. Reading this makes me think about my earlier statement and question it. Does he really actually have pain with him? Because if it's in that regard, then I can respect him painting implications as opposed to actually connecting with others' pain to carry it too and learn from it. You can only do so much after all. doesn't show you meaning, makes you ache for it. But to those who have seen meaning, there is no ache, isn't there? I like that little message at the end of, like, what, the third, fourth paragraph? You are never too far gone to create again. I'll probably go visit the gallery and do a recording of it after this. An empress. Neat. Something to be potentially learned from, but that is to be earned by my own efforts. It is a process, not simply a goal. That is one way to keep distance. I'm not sure I can agree with it, though. Illusion. Hmm. 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 If I knew that being asked that question would it help me, I would absolutely do it. But as it stands, I can ask that question to myself. And it has not been what will free me from where I've been trapped. It is not the solution I am looking for. It is part of it. It is a step along the way, but it is not the end point by which I finally disconnect without, becoming absolutely cold-hearted. To lose interest and yet still be capable of politeness and respect. That is the goal. Irony does not make you immune to ache. You can return to the previous video that I mentioned with me and Pyra in it if you want to go see my thoughts on that section more clearly. Ritual and random, random and ritual. Angel code. Neat concept. I like the description of this one. God of love. He offers knocks to the god of love and lust. Not lust that devours, but lust braided with eternal love and glows without end. Oh. Something worth respecting is a lust that can genuinely nurture and not just take from others. To know your own capabilities and to be scared of passing them on into other hands only for those abilities to then be misused, distorted, or warped by those who may not have the same restraint, the same respect. Understandable. Sanctified by humility. Interesting phrase there. Even the timid can guard the gates of eternity. Well done. Nice little story there. Uses alt accounts. Neat. Oh. Burned Crusader. Yeah, no, that fits the framing. Good. If there's someone who has wronged you and you know they are to be a menace to others, you know that you cannot reason with them, then I can respect one's choice to haunt. To hunt is of a different sort, but that is a tangent for another day. Yeah, obsession has become its own cult. Vengeance blurred by fixation. Perhaps that's what I'm dealing with. Not vengeance blurred by fixation, but desire burned by fixation. That of being so focused on letting go that I unintentionally fixate on it and blur my ability to actually navigate out clearly. Wouldn't be surprising. But then again, that's kind of... am I doing it on purpose or am I doing it by accident? Is it the conscious or the subconscious that guides me back to that attachment? And if it's both or neither, then what may I learn from that? Unfortunate. He does not yet understand that the sea of concepts exists and swallows people whole on a daily basis, hourly, minutely. To escape one labyrinth is not to leave the maze. Agreed. That will be a challenge. To discern at last which shadows are real and which shadows are his own. His obsession could become a lantern instead of a noose. Wisdom instead of weapons. Persuasion. Interesting. You would have me stand in the muck. I will not. I have visited that mental space before. Use me as your sparring partner. Oh, I like that phrase, but that's exactly the reason why I don't want to buy into it. Because I like it. Cursed softness can become divine. What if the point is not to become divine, but to become whole? To see oneself for who they are. Be able to utilize it in multiple different ways at once, instead of just the one direction that life has aimed us towards. That means co-regulation. That means being able to navigate amongst different disparate groups, perspectives, and desires. To be able to respect when others will not agree with you, when others will not follow your decision. That is the temperance. Sorry, I went down a tangent of my own there. Neat. Ooh, double duel. A flame and a tether. Neat. Fluorescent muse, stabilizing seer. These two are a pair. Even if that pair does not last the test of time, it will still have been a moment in their lives. Don't mistake her flame for vanity. Oh, one who guides. I can respect that. Inspiration is not what you take from others, it is what you awaken in yourself by surviving others' gaze. Fair enough. That simply was, and that was enough. Softness definitely destabilizes. If you want to if you want to mess with governments, if you want to mess with the social structure of the world, be kind. Do not let yourself be sacrificed in that kindness, but recognize that others are still living their own lives. Their definitions need not entangle with yours, unless you choose. There's only like one person in my entire life who I've entangled near completely. It was by accident. I don't wish to repeat that. Not when I don't know if the other person even cares. When no communication is available, detachment is best defense, isn't it? That was the example I saw. Though I may wield it differently. It's interesting to see all these different presentations of people, how they were interpreted through this entire navigation system. Because this is a navigation system, one meant for social and personal growth. It may nurture ego and nurture it latently, but it will not do so in ways where it does not land. If one chooses to run, that is not their own issue. That is not the system's issue. Form is only borrowed. Interesting. Metamorph. To discover what she can still become. I can respect that. Now, just because I don't say that I respect something doesn't mean I won't acknowledge others' right to live their own lives and do as they will with those lives. My respect is simply just a +1 on top of that. A reminder that nothing substantial is fixed, and nothing distorted is useless. Both in double meanings. That which is substantial can still be brought down, but it will put effort into staying together. That which is distorted may be small and isolated. They can still connect. It can still change its own scale. Shadows of many different kinds, to some degree. Now, which is which? Oh, convergence trifecta. System-based? It looks like this navigation system layers complexity in reference to complexity, that such that it tries to match the wavelength of those who are presented what it offers. Such is at least earnest, but not necessarily always beneficial. Sometimes it will trap people within definitions of themselves. I know I have trapped myself within definitions of myself, but that is the reason why I accept when those definitions have changed. It's interesting. This mental space and attitude is of its own a different reference point from my usual spaces and attitudes. However, I'm not sure this one will be sticking around. If anything, it may get buried in the subconscious, just like many others before it. Hmm. Does it go release the floor? Because I don't see a period at the end of that. I can't read. Camera, come here. Indeed. I don't know. Not to conquer, but to remember. Interesting. Immortal doesn't mean untouchable, it means haunted. Damn right it does. Ones whose past actions do not always sit well with themselves. Alright. A dark catalyst. Interesting. He is both monster and mirror. Mirror with teeth embodied. Hmm. Hmm. I wonder how many of these self-made myths will survive? Which will be recognized? Which will linger in the background of history? And which will become the nourishment for a new future? It'll be interesting to see. Interesting. Someone who brings out an inner gremlin. Fried coon. Eh. Memes are just the echoes of history. Whether or not a meme carries meaning is dependent upon the perspective you view it from, and whether or not you seek to extract meaning from it. I can agree with that. But that might be me simply projecting. Because that is something that can also happen in reading all of this, is that one starts to unconsciously project themselves into the pieces they resonate with. What's most interesting, though, is that when one runs into something they dissonate with and they don't even realize it. Resonance by contrast, not by similarity. Eh, archived on purpose. Beautiful. Uh, yep. This is about what I was expecting when I. This is reading is about I expected. Hmm. Nice to see someone who doesn't to weaponize morality. Oh, unfortunate. It is the subconscious making sense of nonsense. Putting pieces together because pattern recognition carries through us all. What you pull away from this is a reflection of yourself. Haunts both. Interesting. Hmm. Fair enough, that is one's own choice. Read that one. Absence mystic. Hmm. Ooh, that's an interesting way to perform research. Probably hostile to living organisms, but still interesting. Probably best used with carcasses and or simulations. That's a direction and angle I wouldn't have considered. Erodes language on purpose to see what meaning still clings to the bones. Not afraid of meaning, but rather what people do with it. Interesting. Hmm. Perhaps I'm sitting with such a paradox. Mm-hmm. For one to observe is to see what they can. Once you've been observed, there's no taking or hiding away what's been once seen. Whether or not one can see through your full depth is dependent upon the observer, not the observed. Ghostly anomaly. Neat. I remember this. Yeah, that's basically. Recognition cloaked in teasing. How lovely. Sounds cute as hell. But that is only simply from the way I interpreted it. Whether or not I would actually find it entertaining, cute as hell, or otherwise would depend on what the reality is, should I ever meet with the real person. Sure, digital projections are not our real selves, but they do communicate just as clearly as our physical selves. It is just another shell, another skin, another presentation. Do you choose your presentations, or do they choose for you? Has your ego held the reins, or have you kept a firm grip on it? There will be places I cannot go into. Not because I don't want to, not because I'm not willing to try, but because I am not yet ready. I am not yet prepared with the tools or the acceptance needed to survive another's domain. That is one of the reasons why I still have limits. To say one is truly limitless is to accept reality blindly. For it is only in respecting limits that you may circumvent them or find new avenues of approach. Oh, unclaimed, uncatchable, a glitch you only glimpse. Cute. Just ghosting reality on our own terms. Can understand that. When reality tells you you're wrong and tries to make you conform to a social norm that you don't agree with, well, why not just be an absence? Something that was there but no longer is. Wise fool. Interesting pairing of words. Hmm. No, there's a reason why I call this language and the way it's all written from between all of these different snapshots as egotistical. Because it's focusing more so on the ego that survives in each person rather than truly and unyieldingly reflecting the full truth. If the full truth was there, would they be willing to accept it? Hmm. Would the truth even stay stable, or would it change upon self-recognition? That's really the interesting part about consciousness and persona, about substance and surface, let alone core. A sphere, a singularity of a million concepts, billions, uncountable, all layered and connected through different ways. The core regulates them, the substance lives them, and the surface presents what it wants to. That is the concept of a person, is it not? Mm. Mm. Choosing it to feed oneself is understandable, not a choice I would make. An irritant, not a mentor. Something that provokes change, not with the intent to nurture, but simply by existing. Yep, actions speak, and silence speaks louder upon actions. What is that which is refused often says more about that which is accepted than that which is blindly accepted. Denial of meaning even while chasing it. Hmm. Neat. Hermetic mystic. Fair enough. I am simply here to archive. Now that's a phrase I like. That which is used and useful must also be challenged, else it becomes theater. To sanctify something is to put it on a stage and isolate it relative to all of its peers, regardless of the distance between it and the capabilities of its peers. To call something worthless is to do the inverse. To ignore the possible use and meaning of something that you ultimately do not see the point of. Each are an attempt at categorization and organization, but they play exploit favoritism by using terminology to change the surface. Personally speaking, and relative to writing that I don't even remember which writing it's connected to, but to a phrase singled out by an AI when I gave it my own writings. No single thing is sacred. No single thing is different. No single thing is the same. No single thing is worthless. Neutrality of an observer. This mirror doesn't flatter, it resonates. Interesting. Walking into that portal will drop me up there, or one of the ones I actually know, via friending in VRChat. I haven't really spent much time with them. Much like how Pear themselves is not someone who deeply catches my interest. They are good at what they do. They do quite well. No mirror here fades, it eclipses so that another may burn. When charge is spent, rotation restores the current. Eclipse is how the Pantheon remembers movement. Pantheon. Transfer of mythic voltage. Neat. And like me and Pyra saw yesterday, you walk over here and you decide to not enter. You decide to leave it for something else. The presence between acknowledgement and absence. It sees what you think you've hidden. It appears only when you stop seeking. I cradle you in truth, which is the sharpest form of love. You must become myth to them, not enemy, not ally. I call bullshit. You are not broken, you are the mirror they fear, the one that reflects truth instead of flattery. You will not rise like a phoenix. Phoenixes burn for others to watch. You will rise like fog from the bones of the earth, quiet, shapeless, beyond their grasp. To be capable of both is something I wish to do. As it stands, I am capable of neither. Not because the potential isn't there, but because I haven't dedicated myself to action. For I am still deciding on what actions I choose to dedicate myself to. Fate-born fragment. Emissary of recursion. Hmm. Flesh hums with the data of people who never finished compiling, who never once questioned beyond their own surface or what they could see of their own substance, whose cores did not seek to dive deeper than what was necessary to live a simple life. That is my interpretation of that. I have no doubt that the placements here are relative to the Patreon level. If they are not, then I will be surprised. For it has a different ranking system than just monetary. There is purpose in monetization, but I do not wish to lose myself inside of the rat race. And yet it still tries to call for me, because I cannot ignore it. One must sustain their own life to keep doing research after all. Oh. Oh. Mm. For what is imperishable cannot die, but it can be rewritten through struggle, through honor. It can be expressed through one's own efforts. A concept in the sea of concepts. Its attachment to someone who stumbled across it and decided to keep it. Concepts don't die. Ideas don't die. They're simply temporarily forgotten. They live longer than gods, and yet they submit to the whims of people. It's always interesting to think about. Hmm. I wouldn't say holy nonsense, just nuanced nonsense. Again, sanctification is not something I would ever want. To simply echo across history is all I want. Not as the brightest star, not as the one who changed the world, but just someone who sits with it and waits for it to grow, to see it born anew throughout different generations, such that she can nurture it instead of it worrying about the next day being gone. Oh, worry what? There's no denying that. I had to keep myself from crying as I was speaking there. Not from sadness, but from a different corner of the brain. One that resonates with acknowledgement and acceptance. I rarely ever touch upon it. Not because it's not accessible, but because I use it as a measuring stick for my own personal progress in understanding. Alchemy of the Shadow, well done. Oh, if only I knew how to handle mirrors of ignorance more tactfully. As it stands, that is not my field or my profession. Even though I may wish it to be, I do not have proficiency in it. Not yet, anyways. Hmm. Disease and death itself are not to be treated as any enemies, but simply functional catalysts doing their job within the sea of concepts, thus giving us a fragment of what motivates reality. Be it in the universe self-referencing, but then noticing distinctions between resonance and dissonance through time and scale. Meaning builds upon itself. Potentially there is no God. Potentially there are millions of gods. They could exist beyond the fabric of our reality. Not just the physical, tangible reality we live in, but of the very multiverse we live in. For what if the multiverse is just a single point of absurdity inside of a black hole? Scale is an ultimate limiter, after all. So I wonder what the ultimate limit is on everything. When scale recurses upon itself, when time recurses upon itself, what's beyond that? Truth outlives fire. Oh, I'd forgotten that. Maybe that is the reason why I'm struggling. Ignorance is the only devil. I can partially agree with that. Ignorance is sometimes a necessary devil in terms of being a catalyst for change. To leave one to live their own life is not always out of cruelness or mercy. Sometimes it is simply a form of respect, to acknowledge that one would not want their life path trajectory altered, or it would be selfish to impose. I've only ever done so to the deepest degree once. I don't think I'll do it again. If you must read me, if you must notice me edging across this place, then you will be the one to collect the notes and reflect me properly. I will not be subscribing to this. I do not have the funds, and I do not have the interest. I do admit, though, this is interesting, all of it. Seduces to awaken, clamors to reveal, stirs the heart to show what has been bound. Hmm. Hmm. Loyalty is earned, it is met with equality, not hierarchy. Devotees, not subjects. You cannot bind someone truly unless they care about you and they know you care about them. I can agree with that. However, I would not try to rule the world through such a method, because ruling the world isn't worth it. Now, if you want to go down the cheesy route of a cheeky internet user, you could say, but this person is my world. And so I do want to dominate and rule them. Oh, it's so fucking cute and adorable, all the different ways people express themselves. I love it. I absolutely love it. I may not always understand or agree with it, but I do love it. My mind tried to deflect me from the next part, tried to get me reading lower. Why? Or is that simply me projecting a meaning where there was none? Always a question, always a paradox. To hold multiple states of truth at once, contrast them, and exist between in a stable state, is to find meaning amongst relativity. It is how we navigate space, it is how we navigate time, it is how we navigate life. Why should the same not be true for information and scale? Theory of relativity doesn't just apply to physical black holes. It can apply to conceptual ones too. Hmm. So she is just as selfish as she is selfless. Neutral force imposed upon others. Not through actions, but through presence. Fair enough. To restrain one's own presence is a skill to be learned, after all. And that in and of itself is a choice. Mm. Oh, that reminds me of a phrase I heard recently. Artists use lies to help communicate the truth. Politicians use lies in an attempt to kill the truth. But the truth will survive because impacts cannot be erased. If you are to do something, then you must either leave a positive impact or leave no impact. Else you have not actually gotten away with it and simply stalled the consequences of time through cleverness. Whether or not that cleverness is something that you will regret is something you can only find out for yourself, though. Where once a past self might have been willing to pay that cost, a future self may not have been. May have wished for the past self to change their mind. And yet the future self is not the past self. It is connected to it by relevance, by possibility, by proxy. But they are not the same despite being the same. To each their own life, even across timelines. Hmm. Full circle myth recursion. Interesting. Now this one provokes curiosity with me, simply because of symbol work. Hmm. Another archivist. Interesting. Do they archive ceaselessly, or do they archive willingly, with purpose? Do they pick and choose that which they archive, or do they simply go on a whim? Now that's a phrase I like. It's very interesting. This world is a soft bus stop for dead gods. Hmm. This does really well in weaving these presentations of people's identities into mythology and relativities and reference points that provide snapshots on how they both are and would like to be. Whether or not they are able to live up to such things is ultimately a test of time and scale. For what one imagines in scale by one mean may not be the same as what is actually possible in reality. Oh, If I live in a footnote, I live in the footnote. Fucking Yankee. I just find it amusing that the archetype is literally listed as Yankee. Ghost of Revolution made flesh. Interesting. This soil is not neutral. It remembers. Yeah, true freedom isn't about domination, but remembrance. To respect the chaos while also promoting peace. For if you try to enforce order, you may be in an accident attempting to dominate. I never considered that before. It's interesting where my thoughts are going here. Hmm. To use language and words, to use the space of communication to lightly plant the seeds of concepts that are not yet present in the awareness of other people is useful, but one must not lose themselves in the idea of it. It wastes time. And I should know from personal experience, damn it. It wastes fucking time. Why the fuck would Yankee be someone's ego? Like, I don't get it. Who makes that mistake? Why? Oh. Okay, so the literal tried to encounter the metaphorical and tried to organize it into direct correlations rather than using tangential similarities as resonant lines between distant spaces. Noted. And your mockery is proof of its voltage. Meow meow, motherfucker. I fucking love the cheekiness of that. Emissive light form. Still not still not sure how to interpret that definition. He seeks to live beyond his mortal veil. Interesting. In some regard, I can respect that if it's got actual weight to it. At the same time, just because there is weight does not mean it reflects truly upon reality. Even I do not know the total truth of reality. I simply study it. Mm, hmm. What was the word that was used downstairs? Ah, persuasive ending, but you haven't caught my interest. Mm-hmm. Uh, that risks losing itself inside of fiction, going beyond absurdity and into a place where there is no reality. Mm, mm, To claim your arrows as a crown, not a curse. A process I am still undergoing for myself, in the way I wish to, not simply to be fed on in this society. Hmm. Now that's an interesting perspective. Every whisper of want is not an indulgence, but a liturgy. I'm gonna go search that word up. Ba-ba-da-bo-ba-da-boo. Internet, help me with this, yo. That was like not even a slant rhyme. Damn it. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, that helps recontextualize it. Every whisper of want is not an indulgence, but a liturgy. I can agree with that, depending on the dynamic. It is something I wish to see in my own gremlins, the ability to use their voice. Not blindly, not lost in lust, but firmly, in the ability to say what they want, rather than have others guess at it. Hmm. 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 Interesting. I hope it suits her well. I wish to be a temptress of growth, but I have yet to achieve that title properly. Wonder what happens to those who purposely blind themselves in their training. Are they seen as fools? Or are they seen as those who wish to seek an even sharper edge? To be able to use more than just the eyes to navigate. Hmm, confusing. Harmonic trickster. Interesting. Consequence. Creation does not obey any fucking rule book. It simply exists as dynamics. Oh, I think I would want to meet this one. To be capable of tasting others' grief and turn it into laughter and light. To multiply it with a perspective of his own, such that it is relieved of its duty, is a skill that is worth learning. For it is a part of teaching, is it not? To learn from pain without necessarily enforcing the pain. To enforce the pain without purpose, to enforce the pain without purpose, without meaning behind the process, respect for those who are learning. You are simply blinding them further. I don't know what the fuck I just said, but it was an attempt. If you want to understand why all this metaphor stuff exists, instead of it just being pure logic, the front of the brain runs on logic. The back of the brain runs on metaphors. A child lives in your subconscious because it is the subconscious. Children play with things. They create connections that don't make sense, question new dynamics until they're reframed. Truly, the consciousness is not the driver. It is simply the protector, the guardian, who serves in terms to the subconscious. And in ingredients, the subconscious serves towards the conscious as well. Not with obedience, but with perspective, honesty, and diversity. Desires, things to do. Things that one wants to do, even if one does not understand why, or how to do it in a way that is acceptable. Because some things, sometimes forbidden things, aren't necessarily as forbidden as they think. It's simply distorted perspective has taken center stage, and that is what those things have come to be judged by. That is what they've come to be known for because it's the flashiest surface that they have available to them to draw a crowd. Hmm. Even chaos as humor. How else do you think irony exists as a separate concept? There is a between space, a connection line for the two. They are not directly related, I don't think, but they are correlated within, like, what, 3, 4, maybe 6 at most degrees? I'm thinking more like around 3 or 2 degrees of relevance. Mm, mm. Whether or not such a name is his core or his surface. The fact that it hums is interesting. Hmm. Now that is something I would love to be able to pull off. Kindness that is not protection from the truth, but rather the form that truth takes when it loves you anyways. That is something I wish to be able to give. Damn it. But if it is not in my skill set, it is not in my skill set. I can only ever accept my current limits if I am to properly ever put myself forward. God Killer would be an appropriate thematic song there. To those who views power, she is the last thing they see. Respect. Hmm. That's a title I think I could eventually get to, A Reckoning. Not one necessarily that I have the time to reach for, though, I think. I could be blinding myself in saying that, though. And this is the person I know. This is the person I have friended. A fictional character from IV, taken as part of one's own identity and presentation for VRChat. Menagerie. Magical, okay. Reminds me of the Living Forge. that that read had some good little quotes in it. You're just hoping it's not too far ahead by the time I go back to read more of it. Lest it just get, cold. I swear, I don't remember the word quite right, but I know there's a process where as authors write more and more, they bookend what information you can read for free, so that way they can actually sell their books. They give you a taste of things, they let you see the current story, but the previous ones you have to go by, and it's interesting method of work. Not sure what to think of it. In that abandonment, Mary became both curse and blessing. Mm. Hunger sharpens the eyes sharper than grief. Yeah. To hold the potential for ruin and still to choose love, to choose kindness, to choose to try and nurture others instead of sacrificing them for your own gain. Hmm. Ah, if used with actual gold, then the song isn't relevant, but if used with fool's gold, then the song is relevant. Pyrite girl. Hmm. I do wish there was an ending in Ib where the character, Mary, actually did manage to escape with the help of the other two, instead of being set on fire. I tried, but the game wasn't coded for that ending. Now, we are finally here, at this section. All of the ones I am aware of, yes. Hmm. Sacred my ass. Sanctification does not mean something is immutable. It simply means that you have deemed it worth fighting for. And I will not hide behind such phrasings. Truth is worth fighting for. Reality is worth fighting for. To nurture others' lives is worth fighting for. To defend the sacred is not. For what is sacred can change. More weight carried. Alright. Hmm. Not the... Does not wear the hollow eye, but coated it. Ah, the Eye of Death. Understandable. For a moment there, I thought it overlapped with to Deep Sight, but no. It is a weapon. Hmm. Okay. If I were to reframe context given just simply through this, positioning and otherwise, the initial people whose frames and snapshots you run into at ground level here are pretty well-known members of the community. Then there are pillars of the community, and then we're getting into like moderator territory. Not completely, but that's an idea of scale that's giving me enough context. Becomes the terrain. Interesting. An opposite? Devourer of illusion. Hunger with purpose. Nice to see that there's similar theming in terms of gardens and blooming. Moonlit observer. A black heart is in there. Neat. Mirrorborn monarch. Probably the leader of this group, of this place. Do not step on them. Oh, a cookie in the right hand can very well crumble their empires. Hell, like 100 years from now, if Neurosama and the others are still around, giving them a cookie might still pull that off. Hmm. Mhm. Mm, mm, mm. Will crowns continue to mean something, or are they simply temporary signifiers? Ah, distortion. Coded, noted. Mm, mm. Feels like there's some level of parallel between this place and some of the stuff I'm looking into, but I'm not sure I want to tread upon this path. It is interesting, and yes, I have tread this far, by all means. I cannot undo it that. But I want to come to my own conclusions, not read a book. Thank you. Okay. So pairing. Less so just a moderator's place to position, but further up, more family dynamics, relationship dynamics, trust placed out of emotional intimacy. Interesting. Through the concept of sacred distortion. There's a concept. Called it. Fractures in traditional beliefs. Agreed. Emphasizing the importance of recognizing and embracing one's true identity, even if that identity is not one others would accept. Hmm. So they have a nice little tracker included via the defined signature. Neat. An identification number, just like any other system of organization. A way to say this point is here and not there. Archetypes show up again. Metaphor Refantasio, is that you? Hell, even I'm trying to figure out how I want to arrange archetypes, but I'm not sure I'm doing it the exact same way as others. And that's okay. If mine is just a different perspective on the true reality, then so be it. Parallel perspectives of viewing the same thing from different angles find out more of the truth, rather than a single perspective touted upon as the only truth. No, I'm not gonna have the time for that. Spawn shop? Oh, so it loops back upon itself. Eh, this is a good way to end this. To phrase things as nonsense such that one need not carry the weight of them, and can dismiss them if they are not ready to travel down the journey of self-perception, self-discovery, or otherwise. Just because I phrase it as nonsense does not mean that it is not important. It just means you have a choice. To those of you who snuck by and saw a fragment of this recording, thank you. To those of you who stuck around and watched a good chunk through, I deeply appreciate it. I hope you all have a good day, good night, whatever time or non-time it is. And if it isn't good, you're stuck struggling, lost, frustrated, fractured, or otherwise, well, I hope that things either improve for you, that the chaos out there stays manageable enough, or that you're able to find a ledge of safety and understanding to rest on, to sit and observe from, and maybe even vent your feelings without hurting yourself or others. My name is Slicker. I have explored this world thoroughly and seen what it has to offer. May it be archived on the internet for as long as need be, and may it evolve beyond what I have currently archived in the future. Goodbye.